All right, welcome to the Right Call Podcast. We're going to rip a pod here today. We got an hour, so we're going to make it as efficient as possible. Well, we're always efficient anyways.
Yep.
And we do apologize for not releasing last week. We had a little audio malfunction that kind of...
It explains D's microphones now.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like we gotta back up. It'd be hilarious if both of them didn't work. Actually, it wouldn't be hilarious because
you know what? Actually, truth be told, the audio wasn't as bad as I anticipated. I thought it was going to be considerably fucking worse, and it's still somewhat bearable.
Like you could,
I thought it was going to be like muted in the background.
And then I was just like looking at your clips are okay, and then the clips. I think I was just in a bad mood that day, and I was like looking at it too. And as I was like, I wasn't even talking to the camera. I was looking down. I'm like, this clip sucks. I'm like,
it was an off day.
Yeah, it was an off day.
It happens.
It does happen.
It happens. Welcome to fucking showbiz, baby.
Yeah, that's showbiz, baby. Okay, so Elliot, thanks again as always. Always a pleasure. Thanks for joining us or joining me.
Yes.
So. Couple things. I definitely want to go back to what we were talking about last week. Alberta, this is becoming more and more of news. Mm-hmm. We are the 13th of May today, correct? Yeah, we're Tuesday, May 13th. So we're going to release this early next week. Anyways, we're going to release this after today, obviously. We'll release it this week on Friday. Thursday, Friday. Great. So Mark Carney, new cabinet.
Woo.
Quote unquote, new cabinet. We're going to get into that. Daigneault Smith is not happy with this new cabinet, and I do not blame her for not being happy. And I'm going to be honest, I think I throw my theory completely out the window where Mark Carney is going to unite Canada, because based off the cabinet that he just picked, holy shit. Like, I was literally going through everyone that he picked. He has all the same people. So Anita Anand, same person. Sean Fraser was on the cabinet before. François Philippe Champagne, Mélanie Joly, Stephen Guilbeault, Dominique Leblanc, Chrystia Freeland. The list goes on and on. It's the same cabinet.
It's the exact same people.
It's the same cabinet. He shuffled around a couple people. And there's one person in particular. We're going to get into the CO2 emissions. And essentially, just like a long story short, the East, and we'll call it Central Canada in the East, they need to restore and rehabilitate this relationship that they have with Alberta. Alberta is pissed off, and they do not want to have another 4 years of Liberals.
Yep.
The cabinet that this guy, Mark Carney, appointed, man, I'm really disappointed in this. But yeah, so we'll get into some stuff. I was actually bullish on Canada until I went on X. I'm really mad right now. I went on X 30 minutes ago, and I'm like, oh God, like
it's so bad. And that's the thing, you know.
And I'm not trying to sensationalize this. Like,
no.
I'm like really disappointed with this cabinet, man. I'm really disappointed.
And it's gonna hit us so fucking bad.
Yeah.
You know what? The USD right now is pumping after Trump. Once again, you know what? From now on, I'm putting a Twitter or an X reminder every time he tweets something that says like, buy, because a good news is coming out every time. Did you see
I heard him say that. Did the stock market go up?
Dude, 16% overnight.
Oh, because they had
the UK trade deal.
The UK? Okay.
Yeah, so he made a trade deal.
They also made some concessions with China. I think like the
well, first it was the UK.
Okay.
It pumped, so he just tweeted like, it's a good time to buy. And then like 6 hours later, 16% pump on the market. The S&P, the NASDAQ, the Dow Jones, everything pumping.
Wow.
And then the next day, China. We're going to put a 30-day, break on this trade war. We're going to fucking make a deal. 90 days.
Yeah, China was
amazing.
90. Yeah.
Fucking keeps pumping.
Yeah.
It's the second time he does that. He says it's a good time to buy, and nobody listens. Should have done it. You would have been up like 50% had you listened both times.
The thing with the guy, though, it's like you never know.
You never know.
Because he could do it again a third time.
I mean,
and nothing will happen, or maybe the market will tank.
Or last time he did it as well was with his Trump coin, and that was just a fucking rug pull. You know what I mean?
Yeah. He's he's tough to follow. That cabinet, they're all over the place.
It's very hard to follow.
Yeah.
But speaking of Canada and the cabinet, all right, so this is definitely going to impact our economy. And last week, wanted to talk about, we didn't get a chance because Deloitte came out with forecasts for real GDP growth. So I don't know if you want to touch into this because we got to fucking rip it. But you know what? We can talk about how horrible the outlook is. And right now with a cabinet, I think it's even worse.
Yeah, let's here. We could start with that. Or I have one other topic that I didn't write down that I kind of want to get into. So just not now that we're on Trump, he said that there's going to be a great deal between Canada and the United States. Just you wait, big news. And apparently it's not a trade deal. Just we're speculating here. What do you think that announcement is between Mark Carney and Donald Trump? I honestly have no idea what that is.
I didn't even see it, to be honest with you.
And if it's not a trade deal,
what could it be?
Something with the border?
Something with the currency?
That would be awesome.
Oh, fuck, man. I would love USD. I need some fucking, some good quality money, man. I can't do it anymore. I had to send USD to I have an American bank account. I had to do some conversions.
Hurts. Hurts.
Oh, fuck, it slaps.
Yeah.
And not the right way, not in a fun way.
And then on top of that, too, the bank, they take an extra 2-3 points.
I know.
They skim the top, too.
Or you can do the Norbert's Gambit. Ever heard of that?
No, I haven't.
No, it's the way to get spot price. Basically, what you do is there's an ETF that's basically just tracking the USD CAD. So you buy the ETF, then you call your broker, you ask him to journal the shares. So basically to convert it from the Canadian version of the share to the American version of the share. So it converts automatically with zero fee.
So you avoid the skim.
Absolutely. The only thing you pay is like a trade fee, like what's it called? Like Quest Trade is like $10.
Yeah.
But on like something like 5,000, 10,000, 15,000, 20,000. Holy, you're saving hundreds and hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
So for people who don't know, it's called Norbert's Gambit. Look it up. It's a nice fucking trick. Don't pay the banks. Fuck them.
All right. So let's start with you, Elliot.
Yeah. Well, okay.
So let's get to us. So the report coming in from Deloitte.
Yes, Deloitte. We know Deloitte. This is not good. It's looking quite bleak. Guys, the economy, if you think it's going to change under Carney because he's an economist and he is a world-renowned central banker, you're full of shit. Because Deloitte came out last week with the real GDP growth forecast for the next couple of years, and it's abysmal. Absolutely.
Per capita or GDP?
So this is just real GDP growth. Then after that, I got some numbers per capita. All right. So according to Deloitte Quebec, first of all, is bottom of the barrel. I got a graph I'll send you, by the way. So as usual, followed by Ontario, and obviously Alberta is numero uno. Now this is not per capita. Okay. Once adjusted per capita, TD Economics forecasts only 0.5% growth in 2025. So our real GDP growth per capita is going to be at 0.5% this year. Wow. Amazing.
And that's not, I'm assuming that's not adjusted for inflation, because we've had a 0.5 real GDP per capita growth adjusted for inflation over the past 10 years.
Well, the whole point of real GDP is that it's inflated. Like if it was just GDP, then that would not be.
No, but the GDP per capita, you have the GDP per capita.
But real GDP is an inflation adjusted.
You're right. Sorry.
So yeah, the graph here shows we're down again. 0.5% growth for 2025, guys. That's no bueno. In terms of province, however, so New Brunswick and Quebec, 0.6%. Wow. The best is Alberta at 1.7, which is still pretty abysmal. 1.7 for an entire year. Horrible. But, this is just numbers. What does it mean? Okay. Because for, maybe the average listener, they can't quite grasp or like put it in comparison with other things. So I decided to compare it to the US real GDP per capita. So it's estimated, of course, for 2025. So estimated real GDP per capita for Canada in 2025 is $45,000. So real GDP per capita 2025 Canada is $45,000.
That's in
USD.
USD,
in USD, right? Because you need to account for currency, right?
Yeah.
Guess how much the US is at?
60?
It's worse than that. Better than that, but worse for us. The US is 48% higher at $66,995. Let's round it up. $67,000 of real GDP per capita. That is insane, but here's even what's crazier. The projected divergence. If the current trend continues, the gap between the US and Canada's GDP per capita is projected to continue to widen, with the US producing nearly 50% more per person than Canada. That is fucked. So to give you an idea of what it's looking like for in the future, far in the future, and this is for our children and our children's children, the OECD, not a small organization, forecasts that Canada's GDP per capita will reach $63,000 by 2060, while the US is projected to reach $94,000. We're screwed.
And this is when the Bank of Canada comes out and they talk about things like we have a productivity crisis here in Canada. So productivity crisis, which in other words means there's too much red tape, there's too much bureaucracy, taxes are too high, people are not being productive enough, there's not enough capital expenditures, businesses aren't reinvesting back into their own business, they're not buying property, plant, and equipment. This is the data, you can't deny the data. This is what's happening with
Absolutely.
the data. And that's one thing, I just want to jump to this right now.
But you should, okay,
and it's here. I'm gonna let you go on,
yeah.
And just because It's a tweet coming from Mark Carney, and I'm not going to cut you off here. I'm just going to add to what you're currently saying.
For sure. Let's do it.
So Mark Carney, a tweet, this is from today or yesterday, I believe. We're in the biggest crisis of our lifetime. Now is the time for ambition to be bold, to meet the crisis with the overwhelming positive force of United Canada. Now is the time to be bold, and my government is getting to work. So he's essentially saying that. And where's the comment that was there? Damn, it's not there anymore. But essentially, this crisis, obviously, we've said this before many times, is manufactured. The reason that Canada is in this position over the last 10 years, economically speaking, is because of ourselves. It has been brought upon by Canadians. We are the ones who have shot ourselves in the economic foot. This is not brought on by Donald Trump. No. So they're spinning it as if Donald Trump is the reason why Canada has really high housing costs, has a healthcare problem, why we have no productivity. They're spinning it as that. They're putting all the blame onto Donald Trump. That is not why we're in this predicament. We did this to ourselves. Continue.
Well, and that's the thing, right? Because I'm like, okay, fuck, maybe it's just the US that's doing really, really good. It could be, right? Or maybe it's Trump at the behest or at the I guess at the cost of destroying Canada, he's boosting the U.S. So no, let's compare it to the world, all right? Because the OECD predicts these things for the rest of the world. And Canada is slated to be, the growth rate is projected for Canada, to be at 0.8% per annum, anus. No good. Put that in the bloopers.
It's okay. English is your second language.
Je ne comprends pas le français. le anglais. So this growth rate is projected to be at 0.8% per year. There you go. Easier. Between 2030 and 2060. And it's placing us at the bottom of the list. We are, again, the OECD projects Canada to be at the bottom of the list of all the countries. It's not because of the US. It's not, Donald Trump. This has been a long time coming. And to prove it, and this is what's really, really interesting, I found statistics and data showcasing the difference between Canada, let's go with this, with Canada, other advanced economies, and the United States, all right? So in 1980, in the heydays of Canada, back in the good old real liberal,
when we had a middle class.
When we had a middle class, when we had more classical liberal governments, right? Our real GDP per capita was roughly $30,000 in
USD.
In constant international dollars. It's like a metric. Cool. It's a unit that they use, right?
Yep.
While the other advanced economies were about $4,000 under, so roughly $26,000. So we were above other advanced economies, and we were roughly on par with the United States that stood at about $31,000 to $32,000. So we were nearly like the US, and we were considerably better than other advanced economies, right? Europe, and you name it. Then by the 2000s, the other advanced economies had caught up, and they were at par with us. So our real GDP per capita was a little bit over $40,000, and so were the other advanced economies. So that discrepancy, that advantage we had been narrowed to zero. But the US started booming. The US were now $8,000 above Canada and above other advanced economies. And then contrast that to today. Here the numbers are from 2022. So this predates Trump, by the way. The US is now more than $20,000 above Canada. And other advanced economies are now $4,000. They're pulling $4,000 above us in real GDP per capita. So guess what? This ain't just the US. It's the entire world pulling ahead of us.
There's a really interesting podcast with Jim Basile. I think that's how you pronounce his name, the former CEO of BlackBerry, and he was talking to Jordan Peterson. Very interesting, and for the viewers, you should check it out. And he kind of talks about exactly what you just said. So Canada was richer, and this actually predates even Trudeau. When we started to kind of fall off with regards to real GDP per capita and comparing it to other developed nations, we lag behind big time, you'll understand this, in intellectual property.
Yes. And
so we never really caught on, and we're kind of stuck in this, I guess, traditional economy, if you want to say that. So it's like a more resource-based economy. Mm-hmm. We're far too behind other nations with regards to intellectual property and building up those trademarks and being able to sell it to other nations.
Yeah.
But then the other point too, it's like, okay, so if we haven't invested or developed our intellectual property, And at the same time, the only part of the economy that's doing well, the resources, and we're trying to attack the resources and shoot ourselves in the foot and keep the energy in the ground. I mean, we don't really have anything anymore. I mean, you can't build an economy on housing and trading houses.
No, because and that's the
which
thing.
is kind of all we do.
Oh, that's
now.
all we do.
Like, how often do you go to, like, you see in Quebec, you see like a notary and you see like these real estate people, like I remember going to I was selling my condo. I went to the notary, and the notary, she's there with like a Rolex. She has like she's dressed like to the nines and everything. I'm like, that's when you know you're paying way too much. Like, how is it so lucrative to work in the housing business like this? All you're doing is just, you're just trading assets. That's all you're doing.
Well, notaries, it's hilarious. My father used to be a notary. He was one of the youngest one in Quebec. He practiced for maybe 5 years, and he fucking became a businessman because fuck that job. At the time, he was charging roughly $200 for a deed for like a real estate transaction. Now the cheapest is like $2,000.
It's ridiculous. And then they always get in bed with the developers when it comes to the pre-sale condos, and they're like, oh, you want to buy this pre-sale condo? I mean, it's kind of falling apart now, but let's say 5 years ago, you want to get this pre-sale condo? Cool, you got to notarize it with this notary right
Absolutely.
over here. And so they get the notary will get the whole entire, so it's 300 units. They're getting 300 transactions.
And real estate agents too, by the way.
At $2,500 a pop.
I know.
I mean, they don't have to work for the rest of the year.
And the thing too is,
and like you just sit there, you just transact the deal.
Yeah.
Like that adds no productivity to an economy.
but that's what it's called, right? Real estate is a non-productive industry. Asset industry.
Yeah.
It doesn't generate anything for the GDP. Ultimately, the real GDP growth of a country. It doesn't.
Yes.
It's just like it's a fugazi.
Yes,
that's all it is.
And they tax into oblivion. But this is like back to what the Bank of Canada is saying. This is what like the main economists for the big banks are saying. It's not a secret. We have a productivity crisis here in Canada. We have to get back to capital expenditures and reinvesting back into businesses. And the only way to do that is to remove red tape, to drop the bureaucracy, to drop corporate taxes, to attract foreign capital to come to our country and want to invest here. This is what, we talk about this all the time. We're banging our fists. If you are a foreign investor, why would you ever want to come to Canada when the United States is right next door?
Exactly.
Like, why would you want to come to Canada? And like, people are voting with their dollars. If you look at it like direct foreign investment, it has dropped off a cliff here in Canada.
Absolutely. And guess what? The US, not only do they have a lower tax basis, not only do they have a bigger market to sell to in the first place, not only do they have more skilled and competent
they have more skilled employees.
They have more skilled employees.
Yeah.
We have a massive brain drain in Canada.
Yeah.
People will come to Canada because our universities are not bad.
Yeah.
They'll come get educated here at a fraction of a cost. And then it's see ya, going to the US.
Yeah.
And even Canadians, which benefit from legitimately almost free university education, if you're competent in your field in any regard, you'd be crazy not to go down to the US. Yeah. And we have something called treaty visas, and it's called a TN visa, right?
Yeah.
So if you have a certain college degree, university degree, you're allowed to get a visa in the US and go work there.
Yeah.
So you have a choice. You can get paid, let's say, $100,000 for your profession here and get taxed to oblivion, or you can go work in the US, get paid twice the amount in USD, and get taxed a fraction. Like, no brainer, dude. It's a fucking no brainer.
I saw a clip the other day. I don't know how true this is on TikTok. And the guy was saying there's a lot of American companies. Well, it's competitive out there, but there are American companies out there that will hire you remotely. Canadians hire you remotely, pay you in USD. And so not only are the salaries higher, this is before the adjusting for the actual currency.
Right.
So for example, if you're going to make $70,000 here in Canada, an American tech company is going to pay you 90, and it's in US dollars.
Absolutely.
So the US, it's obviously a bigger market. We're never going to be like as big of a market as the United States.
No, but we used to be close.
Yes, and up until 2015, I mean, like our GDP per capita was neck and neck with the United States. Something happened in 2015. I forget what happened in 2015, but
I don't know.
But anyways,
memory hole.
So it's just like the Liberals. I'm not going to blame it on the Liberals. I'll blame it on Justin Trudeau. But they just got elected for a fourth term, and here let's just dive into this now.
Let's do it.
So the cabinet. This literally just came out this morning, and one of the big things with regards to the cabinet was Mark Carney. Okay, a lot of the Liberals that voted, and I'll even show it right here. I have some data. So a lot of they asked the question. So this is coming from Abacus Data. They're like a polling company, very, very, very reliable polling company. So with the federal election now completed, which of the following was more important in deciding your vote? This was a question that they polled Canadians. So the people that voted for Liberal, 61% said that dealing with Trump was their number one priority, compared to compared to 23% of Conservatives. And then Conservatives were the ones who were voting for change. 57% of Conservatives said that change was the most important aspect, while 30% of the Liberals. So the 61% of Liberal voters who said that Trump was their number one priority, we've talked about this before, I'll bet you any money that most of them probably own their house, most of them are probably boomers, most of them probably already have all their money, so they don't care, and they watch CBC. So if you put all those things together, it's literally a perfect trifecta. If you put all those things together, they're going to think Donald Trump is the big bad boogeyman. So, but here's the part where it gets important. Alberta is not fucking around when it comes to wanting to separate. A lot of Albertans really feel slighted in the most recent election. They are pissed off at the fact that they kind of keep Canada afloat financially, and they have much less say when it comes to federal elections because they have less seats. It's just, you run the math. And a lot of them, 57% of Conservatives, said that change is the most important aspect or policy, I guess we can call it, for the upcoming election. Now, if we go back to the cabinet, you would think if Mark Carney wanted to come across as a man who's trying to unite the rest of Canada, you would think he would shuffle up and change his cabinet, which he did not. I was so disappointed to see this. And honestly, I was one of the guys, like my theory from last week where I said, you know what? They're going to manufacture a constitutional crisis. They're going to go all the way to the edge with Alberta about to separate. And then they're going to say, okay, you know what? Forget it. Now we have to actually build those pipelines because that's the only way he would be able to convince his constituents that like, hey guys, we have to build these pipelines, for example, across Quebec. We have to build the pipelines in order to get the natural gas out of Alberta. If we do not, Alberta is going to separate. Well, what does he do? So here are some people that were in Trudeau's cabinet that are still part of Mark Carney's cabinet. Chrystia Freeland, I also like to refer to her as Dolores Umbridge, the character from Harry Potter. And if those of you that don't know, I mean, a lot of people have seen Harry Potter. Dolores Umbridge was the lady who became the president and essentially just had rule after rule after rule after rule. She was essentially a tyrant and like one of those politicians that just creates so many rules. You're not allowed to do anything and you have to ask the politicians if you can take a shit. You know, that's kind of like what she reminds me of. So we got Chrystia Freeland, Anita Anand, she's still there. Sean Fraser, so he won his riding, destroyed our immigration system.
And the housing.
Both. And the housing.
You know, you can legit pin both of our biggest pain points in Canada on this dude.
Yes. Also, by the way, it comes with a nice $100,000 annual salary top-up. That's nice.
Wait, what? They've increased their...
Yeah, so Chrystia Freeland, I don't know about the other ones. I know Sean Fraser and Chrystia Freeland each got a $100,000 increase in salary. Yeah, it's nice.
Well, I mean, it makes sense if you fuck up inflation so much that you know your MP salary doesn't cover your expenses anymore.
Yes. Like I was actually, I was bullish on Canada. I'm like, no, he's going to change stuff. And I'll give credit where credit's due. I really liked the way when he went to go meet with Donald Trump. I liked the way he handled it. I thought he did a really good job. I thought he was smooth. I thought he was, Donald Trump was like saying some shit like.
No, man, I thought
he did. He did a lot better than what Trudeau was.
Well, they both look like two emasculated little puppy dogs. And what I can't believe is the media here in Quebec, the Journal de Montréal, the fucking Montreal newspaper, front cover. Carney 1, Trump 0. I was like, come the fuck on. He spoke for, I think it's something like someone calculated it. Carney spoke for like 8 minutes and 30 seconds. Yeah. Trump spoke the entire time. And Carney, everything he said, it'd be like, we'll never be a state. Some things are not, for
just
purchase.
like in real estate, some buildings are never for sale.
And then you got Trump's like, sure. Like it just looked like Trump did not take him seriously.
I mean, I guess it depends on who you ask. If you ask like a left-leaning person, they might say, Carney one. If you ask a right-leaning person, they're going to say Trump one. But
what's okay? Just one thing. Okay, completely out of the blue. But what's with our politicians in Canada sitting like fucking little? We can't use the word faggot. But like you got like Trump and you got like all these world leaders. They take room. They take they look like confident on their seat, right? When they're talking, when they're sitting there. In the Oval Office. And then you have Trudeau at the edge of the seat, or you have Carney, legs kind of like crossed. They look emasculated. They look like they don't belong. Guys, You're the fucking Prime Minister of Canada. Like, stand up straight with your shoulders back, please. Like, make us proud. That was it. Okay.
So Anita Anand, she's there. Sean Fraser's still there. Excuse me. Francois Philippe Champagne, our new finance minister. He's a lawyer. I don't know why. I would assume though that, I hope Mark Carney's
talking about someone who's going to complicate things.
Yeah,
lawyers complicate things.
Yeah, they always do. Mélanie Joly, she's still there. Stephen Guilbeault, so our beloved ex-climate czar, back in the cabinet as Minister of Canadian Identity. This is interesting. So how is Alberta and the West going to take this? The Minister of Canadian Identity is essentially, from like what I'm gathering, kind of like it's kind of like the schmoozer or the relationship guy between the provinces. So Alberta is not going to be Alberta is not going to be happy about that. Dominic LeBlanc still there. Daigneault Smith, as we said earlier on in the podcast, she is really not happy with this. And she specifically says, Julie de Bruzen was Guilbeault's right-hand woman. She is not shy to say that she wants to phase out oil and gas. And what does this lady do? Let me pull this up. So this is coming from one of Daigneault Smith's tweets. I am very concerned the Prime Minister has appointed what appears to be yet another anti-oil and gas environment minister, Julie de Bruzen. Not only is she a self-proclaimed architect of the designation of plastics as toxic, but she is a staunch advocate against oil sands expansion, proponent of phasing out oil and gas, and for the last 4 years, she has served as a right hand to former environment minister and militant environmentalist Stephen Guilbeault. So if this guy campaigned on getting things done and changing around the cabinet and changing up his team so that they can actually unite Canada, well, like, lead by example. Holy shit. Like, if you like, again, this is a big deal with Alberta, man. Like, they are not happy that's going on right now, and you literally, like, this is a slap in their face. What do you think?
Oh, what do I think? I think, look, we're gonna put, you know, the beauty of this is, honestly, like, look, I have a side of me that's very apathetic about this whole election and everything. I'm just like, look, listen, Canadians, you want to fucking continue down this path? Let's continue down this path. And then there's always the whole, like, yeah, but you change the CEO of a company or you change the head coach of a team, and it's gonna change everything. All right, perfect. Let's see that theory play out, because right now it's the exact same lineup, same players, same everything. It's like you changed nothing in the company, nothing in the country, nothing in the cabinet. Same people that fucked everything up. I mean, again, Fraser fucked up immigration, destroyed the housing market because of it, and then guess what Trudeau does? Let's put you at the head of the fucking housing ministry. Okay, cool. That guy who destroyed everything is really going to fix it. Continue to screw it up. And now, what is Fraser at now? What is he?
I don't remember the, here, let me pull it up right here. He is Sean Fraser. He won his riding, just tried him. I don't know the exact thing. I could pull it up. You want me to pull it up?
I'm just curious to see what's the next things to crash, because I'm going to short it. Whatever it is, I'm shorting it.
Minister of Justice and Attorney General of Canada, minister responsible for the Atlantic Canada Opportunities Agency. I don't even know what that means.
All right, so what I'm going to do is I will buy stocks in home alarms and in prisons in Canada, because the crime rate is going to shoot right the fuck up. All right, that's what I'm going to do. This is how you make money on this.
And it's like, and here's another graph coming from another podcast I follow all the time, Richard Diaz. He's like he's from Montreal, actually. He's like a little economist geek, really nice guy, very smart as well. So the obsession over imposing a carbon tax on Canadian consumers and industry is perhaps the most obnoxious, self-aggrandizing luxury belief going, comforting a silver of rich virtue signalers while hurting the working class. Very interesting right here. Canada's emissions peaked in 2007. China today is building 311 new coal-fired power plants. Okay? So if we look here at the overall emissions, Canada's at the circle at the bottom right.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. It hasn't moved since 2007. It's been pretty stagnant since 1980, essentially. This is our overall CO2 emissions in tons, I believe. So 0.5 billion tons. China is 10.6 billion. This is the point we're always saying, guys, The carbon tax is full of shit. It's not going to do a damn thing. This is a money grab coming from the government. And all they did was just they moved the carbon tax away from the consumer and they pushed it onto industry. What's going to happen? They are going to pass those costs onto the Canadian consumer. We're still paying the carbon tax. And the Bank of Canada also said themselves that the carbon tax, before they repealed it, it was contributing 0.7% in inflation per year. And so like the politicians, and it's like, and then on top of that, I can't believe how some Canadians still gave credit to the Liberals for removing the carbon tax that they shoved down our fucking throats for years. And then when they finally removed it, and then they're like, people are like, oh, that's thanks to the Liberal government that they removed the carbon tax. Give me a fucking break, guys. Wake the fuck up.
And these were the same people, by the way, who were defending the carbon tax by saying, no, it actually puts money in Canadians' pockets. Most Canadians make money from it. All right. And now they're cheering the removal of it. Fucking get your story straight, guys.
It's spicy today. Oh, we're being spicy today.
I know. Yo, that graph, though, pisses me off.
Yes.
Because you have a line that says the Paris Agreement, right? When it comes into force.
Yep.
So you have
Great point.
Europe starts going down. US starts going down. Canada, we don't move because apparently nothing's happened.
Yep.
But then Africa goes up very marginally.
Yep.
But Asia Pacific and China fucking shoot the fuck up. So basically, the real carbon producers and emitters are going way up. They're not slowing down.
Nope.
They're continuing to increase. Actually, it seems like they're increasing at a higher pace now.
Yep.
And the other developed economies are being effectively economically cucked, restricted. So we're like, what's going on?
I like that word, cucked.
Yeah,
I like it.
A cuckold. But, hey, look, to each their own, all right? Not my thing, but I'm Canadian, so I guess I kind of like it, you know? So, it's I've been saying this for a while, and I stand by it. It may have sounded as a conspiracy theory back in the day, but I'm convinced China is behind just about every single one of these policies, not only to make money off rare earth metals and off, battery production and whatnot, but also because we are effectively putting shackles on our economy, which we are competitors of theirs, while they continue to go unabated, producing like there's no tomorrow at a faster and faster pace. Yeah. So I think this was a tremendous, amazing infiltration done through political not mastercraft, but not witchcraft.
The WEF.
The WEF and whatnot, and also infiltration in our own governments, because we do have clearly some CCP members in politics. Yeah. And good for them. They're playing a worldwide war on the economy, and they're winning.
And if you want to hear everyone in this cabinet who's actually associated with the WEF, so Mark Carney, there's no secret there, associated with the WEF. Chrystia Freeland, associated with the WEF. Sean Fraser, recognized by the WEF for a young world leader. François Philippe Champagne, at one point, recognized by the WEF. Melanie Joly, recognized by the WEF. Stephen Guilbeault, recognized by the WEF. So it's like, guys, like, how many times have we said this? It's beyond conspiratorial now. Yep. There's something going on here.
Absolutely.
There's something going on here.
I'm telling you're gonna take that red pill. You're gonna swallow.
Well, no, because I was giving them the benefit of the doubt, and honestly,
and you're a fair guy. You're very fair. You're level-headed.
I try to be fair, but but I'm not stupid. So had he completely changed around the cabinet, and he appointed someone to be in charge for like the oil and gas and the energy, and someone for the relationships that actually understood the values that the Westerners have. Had he done that, I'd say, you know what? Let's give the guy some credit here. He's trying to do something here. He's trying to bring Canada. He's trying to unite Canada together. Give him some time. Give him an opportunity. Yeah. And he hasn't. Like, this is news coming. This is from today. He hasn't changed anything. And the media, CBC, CTV, Toronto Star, I was reading it how they were spinning it. They were spinning it as like, oh my God, they really changed up the cabinet. God. That's how they spun it.
Is there any newcomers in the cabinet?
There's a couple of newcomers, and then they basically did this other. I'm not an expert on like this type of stuff, but he got rid of some people, and they were CBC, CTV. They were emphasizing, okay, we got rid of this person, got rid of this person, got rid of this person. They made a slight change to back when Jean Chrétien had it. They have like these under ministers. Don't quote me on this. I forget what the actual term is. But long story short, they portrayed it as, wow, this is a much different cabinet. And they kind of just skip past the fact that, well, all of these people that we just mentioned are still on the cabinet, just shuffled around. But like, again, I would love to be a fly on the wall to actually see how the sausage is made when it comes to this. Just because you're in a position of X, do you still have influence in other parts of policy across Canada? I bet you they do.
Of course. Well, don't forget, cabinet meets, so everyone has a portfolio, right? Every minister has a portfolio, that's what it's called. And obviously they're in charge of it. But the cabinet does meet. And as such, it's like a board meeting, you know what I mean? Like, you may be the treasurer of the board, but you're still going to have a vote and you're still going to have a say, and you can still bring opinions on a matter of, I don't know, say legal policy for the business, right? So of course they have the ear of the prime minister. They can influence things. So who do you think is going to be Carney's right hand? Because with Trudeau, we knew it was Freeland. Freeland was the one, you know, like with the chain and the whip, and Trudeau with the ball gag. But like, who do you think is it going to be Freeland again, or is Carney just emperor, first consul, and takes nothing from no one?
Well, I mean, if you think about it, Chrystia Freeland is, Mark Carney is the godfather of Chrystia Freeland's child.
Yep.
So I'm sure she's still going to have some influence. Who's going to be the main person? I'd probably say Chrystia Freeland. She is very, she strikes me, I don't know her personally. She strikes me as being very Machiavellian.
Oh, yes.
And she strikes me as being someone like Dolores Umbridge from Harry Potter.
And you know what? Actually, theory just came up to me right now.
Yeah.
I think, oh my fucking God, yes. So the relationship between Freeland and Carney already it was pretty tight, right? But nobody knew this.
Yes.
And who?
Well, you saw it in the debates. Remember in the French debate, and he said something. He made a mistake. It was an honest mistake, and she corrected him to kind of help him out, because he said in French essentially, "We are for Hamas," or whatever it was, and she said, "No, we are not for Hamas." Oh, sorry. Like, that would never happen. In another debate.
They would have done the opposite.
Correct.
They would have fucking hammered you on that.
Yes.
But I'm saying that like a year ago, nobody knew the relationship between Freeland and Carney. However, let's play a little theory here. Who kickstarted the entire rebellion against Trudeau? The downfall of Trudeau?
Chrystia.
When she decided to fucking throw him under the bus, pen this resignation letter, and openly broadcast it the day before the budget, or the morning of the budget, right?
Yeah.
So she's the one who legit brought about the downfall of Trudeau, because at that time he was refusing to do anything, right?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, a few months later, Carney is the prime minister, and she's still there. Was she she was not even the sacrificial lamb, because she's still there. Was she just playing the entire time Trudeau in order for Carney to make it in?
Her side of the story is that Trudeau said, okay, right after you release the budget, which you blew past the guardrails, I'm going to fire you. That's her side of the story.
Right, of course.
So whether that's true or not, we have no idea. But I think
she is Machiavellian, like you said. She does strike me as
I think for sure. I mean, when you have someone who's trying to come up with policy, and this is actually a policy, they talked about this on the Bill Maher show, Bill Maher, I never know how to pronounce his name. And they were talking about, he asked the question, it's like, you know, when you start implementing policies like in Ottawa, where they're going to start giving tickets for people that keep their car idling for too long while they're at a red light, like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
And so it's just like rules and rules and rules and rules and rules. And I'll never forget this. A lot of liberals, not all of them, actually think like this. They think that the average person doesn't know any better, and that the liberals need to tell them how to live their lives. They actually believe this. And I was with this girl, this is years ago, and she had like a Toronto elitist attitude. I know, and we started talking about politics. She said that to my face. She goes, no, I don't believe people are smart enough to actually take care of their own lives. This is why government needs to implement policies. So they have a fundamental different philosophy where they want it to be more centralized. They want all of the decisions to come from a centralized power, a centralized ring of influence to basically tell other people and enforce how they want other people to live. Conservatives and right-leaning people, it's more about power to the individual.
Yeah.
The other parties in Canada, it's more about party to the state.
Absolutely. That is such a good point.
Under the guise of we care about you more than you care about yourself.
But yeah, these politicians, especially on the left, I mean, I don't blame them. If you keep fooling people over and over and over and over and over again, like, how much can you truly respect them? You lose respect for people. It's sad to say, but like, let's take someone, right? Let's say you have a group of friends. Every group of friends has that one guy that gets picked on all the time, right? And he just takes it. He fucking takes it, never fights back. Well, eventually, even new people that join the group are going to lose respect for that kid, that guy, whatever, because he doesn't even stand up for himself. Well, I think all of Canada, we just keep being fooled, and we're just there like, yeah, let's give them another chance. It's only been 3 chances. Let's just keep going. Like,
but it's spun in a different way, and like this is why the upper class. Mm-hmm. So I don't want to call them the elites because they're not all elitists, but the upper class, the people that already have assets and already have their house and are generally speaking closer to the age of retirement, or who are highly educated because they're just fed this all the time, that are exposed to a different level of information than we're exposed to. So they're exposed to either their education institution. So if you go to college or university, a Canadian university in particular, you're going to come out, you're going to be brainwashed, you're going to be left leaning. I mean, I was, right? Because you're not, really? Well, I wasn't exposed to the other side of thought.
Interesting.
So you come out of school, you're brainwashed, you're going to be left leaning. Or if you're going to be older, you know, you've been listening to CBC your whole entire life. 50 years ago, CBC they were real journalists. They would actually report on the news. Yeah. And so they still have that trust in the institution of legacy media. Yeah. And therefore, so they're shown a different set of facts than we are shown. Mm-hmm. And so I forgot where I was going with this point, but it's just like the average liberal voter, I don't think they think they're being fooled. They don't know that they're being lied to. And they don't care because life's pretty good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know, for sure. And yeah, it's, again, the whole process, I think, is creating apathy as well. It's just people are becoming apathetic. Or you can also push it further. So the more people are dependent on the state, the more people are struggling to survive, the more they are focused on just, you know, earning enough bread or dough to get some bread. Yeah. The less they have time, energy, or just the wherewithal about themselves to focus on the political cycle and to keep people accountable. If you're legitimately struggling to survive, you don't have time to fight back. Yes. You become very docile.
Yes.
Very.
And it's also too, like, would you agree with the fact that, I mean, for speaking from experience, it can become very exhausting and discouraging to follow the political news cycle.
Very much so.
And it's almost toxic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like Mario from the North, he does his thing. He does a good job. I got to the point, I'm like, dude, I can't take this guy anymore because it's just always negative. He is pointing out a lot of the hypocrisy and bullshit that a lot of politicians are doing, and I agree with what he's saying, but just that negative energy, it gets tiresome. You know what I mean?
What's crazy is this, like, okay, what are some positive news coming from Canada? I mean, that's a really tough. I just sat here for a second. I'm like, okay, you're saying negative, and I hear you.
We're not for sale.
Elbows up.
It depends who you ask if that's positive or not. Go ahead. Yeah.
No, but like, and you're right. Look, I hate complainers. I really do. Yeah. And here we are. We're doing the same. We're complaining, right? Yeah. And you know what? Okay, let's take a second here. Let's try really what positive has come out of Canada. Let's say in the last year. I mean, what have we done on the world stage or just domestically at home? Is there something we can congratulate ourselves on?
There's a list of stuff we can be embarrassed about.
Sure, correct. But like, okay, is there, like the cannabis, legalization of cannabis, that was many years ago, like back in 2019 or like 2017 even maybe, I don't know. But like, okay, we know it was a way to make money, like insider trading. We all know this has come out and it's very well documented. But like, I mean, cool, okay, I'm for that. I don't think it's negative for society. But what else? Every metric has gone down in Canada. Every single metric.
And I would actually argue about the cannabis. Forget the insider trading. Logically, you would think, okay, so you guys just created a new tax revenue source. Well, can't you just cut taxes somewhere else? Because you just you just have more taxes, right?
But this isn't.
And they never
did.
They never cut anything.
But this is something I love that Trump did on his first term, and he pushed it even further on his second term. Yeah. And it was that the first term was this: for every new regulation, the government must find 3 archaic regulation and cut it. So the goal is not to add more red tape, rather it's to update and cut on the red tape. Yeah. And now I think it's like at a ratio of 10-1 actually, which is insane. Yeah. That's beautiful, right? But in Canada, we find new creative ways to tax our population, and yet our deficit just keeps increasing.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Like I gotta say too, I was speaking about this with my father. With this amount of debt with this amount of deficit spending that Canada is about to embark on, and I always say this, it's not just Canada. There's a lot of countries going through deficit spending, and they're monetizing the debt. There's too much debt in the international system. So it's a big picture. But I'll tell you this, with the amount of deficit spending that's about to come down the pipeline, if you don't own assets, you think life's expensive now, just you wait, man. If the middle class, we are not going to have a middle class in 10 years in Canada at this pace, or the US for that matter, or a lot of Western countries for that matter. But guys, if you can get your hands on some assets, do so. The inflation spiral is going to continue to increase. It's going to get worse and worse and worse. And without going into the actual mechanics of it, the more debt that there is, the more inflation is created. The more inflation is created, the less your dollar is worth, which means if you don't hold assets, you're just going to you're going to continuously lose purchasing power.
Absolutely. Just don't buy houses. A house is a non-productive. Look, to be honest, if you want to buy a house, make sure it cash flows. Like, don't buy a house to live in and think it's an asset. At best, it's a savings account. Okay, at best.
Yeah.
At worst, it's just an expense, to be quite honest with you. Housing is an expense. Now, if you want to invest in like duplex, triplex, quadplex, whatever, sure. Make sure it cash flows.
Yes.
And it's hard in Canada to find one that cash flows,
Yes.
believe me. Or else you have to pull some little sneak stuff and you end up on fucking primetime TV.
Yeah. And they were talking about that too. Like, there's a massive, I was speaking with one of my buddies. He does the condo developments in Toronto. They actually ended up switching. They pivoted because they're like, they couldn't sell enough units. If you bought a pre-sale condo in Toronto or Montreal or Vancouver, well, so some people are
in Toronto, you're underwater.
Toronto, you're definitely underwater.
Yeah.
And what some people are doing now is like, well, okay, damn, if I sell it today, I'm going to lose $100,000 or $150,000, whatever it is. You know what? I'm going to weather the storm, they think. I'm going to hold on to it for a little bit. But even if you rent it out, the negative cash flow is still like, it's costing you $800, $900, $1,000 a month, depending on the size of the condo.
Sometimes even more.
Yes. And this is with the assumption that the condos itself are going to be worth more in a year, 2 years, 3 years, which is probably not the case either.
At all.
So they might wait another 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, losing $900 per month. It's a terrible investment. And so like the heydays of Canadian real estate, where you could literally just buy a pre-sale condo back in 2018, sell the slip to someone else in 2020, make a quick 50 grand. Those days are done.
Forget it. Furthermore, by the way, if you absolutely want to be a landlord, take it from a landlord. Do it in a landlord-friendly jurisdiction like
Alberta.
Arizona, Alberta. If you want to stay in Canada, Alberta, you're
Alberta,
right. But why stay in Canada when you can find actually cash-flowing business houses like overnight in Arizona and Florida, whatever? Don't Ontario, forget it. Quebec, pretty bad. But like,
is Ontario worse than Quebec?
Yes.
It is,
Because in Quebec, for example, a few differences real quick. In Quebec, there is no true limitation on how much you can raise a rent every year. If the tenant accepts, you can do anything you want. The TAL, right, the rental board, will give a recommendation, but it's a case by case. Now, the tenant's allowed to refuse, and then you go to the board. But if he agrees, if you're a good negotiator, you got a nice subservient tenant, which is the trick, by the way. No, for real. Like, I'm in a process right now. I want the most subservient, submissive tenant. Sorry, it's true, but I have like 10,000 applying. So yes, I'll choose that.
Would you take me as your tenant?
You wouldn't want to live where I'm fucking renting. So don't know, for your own sake, all right? But on paper, yes, you'd be an amazing tenant. You got a great job, you make good money, you're super nice, you're cool, love you, yeah, you're great. But yeah, so that's number one. So you're allowed to raise as much. In Ontario, the recommendation is binding. It's like 2% per year, that's it. And in Ontario, you have so much more paperwork if you want to try to like do anything. It's really, really bad in Ontario. Like, don't do it. But anyways, Alberta, by the way, I just want to mention this because obviously now with this cabinet, there's a real chance of perhaps them wanting to secede, to separate. And I mentioned it a little bit last week. Obviously,
let's just dive into a little bit more. Can you explain just a little bit? Okay, so let's say, I'll let you take it from here. But so number one, Daigneault Smith changed something so that if the populace of Alberta, essentially, they require fewer signatures in order to actually go to a referendum. And then if they actually choose to separate, the other provinces of Canada need to agree to such.
Yep.
So can you just give us some details on that? Because you did a really good job explaining it last week.
For sure.
Because and I noticed that too, just my last point.
Yeah.
I've been listening to a lot of the news cycle. I always prepare for these podcasts, obviously. And they never mention that part there. So they're like, yeah, there's a really real chance that the people of Alberta are going to choose to separate from Canada. But the journalists never mention the fact that the other provinces need to agree.
Yep. So, and that's the thing, right? So in Canada, constitutionally speaking right now as it stands, a province cannot secede from the federation. However, during the Quebec independence movement in the 80s and early 90s, certain lawsuits were brought forward to the Supreme Court of Canada, which rendered a judgment, which to this day is still binding. And the Supreme Court of Canada was tasked with putting up a framework or a guardrail in the event that the referendum in Quebec would have succeeded, which came damn close, by the way. It was 49.9 versus 50.1. It came damn close. And like Parizeau said, it's because of the vote ethnique, but whatever. So
Did he actually say that?
Oh yeah, when he lost, right? Parizeau was the premier of Quebec,
and
he came on stage. He was probably drunk as fuck too. Back then politicians,
real
men,
Yeah.
And he's there with his raspy voice. Aujourd'hui, on a perdu à cause du vote ethnique. And people are like, yeah, fucking going crazy, and all the crazy fucking kebs.
That's so
but
bad.
But it is true though that the federal government or Ottawa bussed in apparently like thousands of people to go vote in the referendum, but whatever. So the Supreme Court of Canada stated that in the event that a province wanted to secede, first of all, they needed to have two prerequisites. They needed to have a clear question on the matter, and they needed to have a clear majority wanting it. So we cannot just be like, would you want maybe perhaps to discuss maybe somehow separating? No, it has to be, do you want to be an independent nation, for example? And a majority of the population needs to agree. Cool, so that's a referendum. Now what happens if the referendum passes? Well, this is where it gets interesting, because by the Canadian Constitution, it is not lawful for a province to secede. However, the Supreme Court said that if in the democratic process a province does indeed pass a referendum with a clear mandate, other provinces and the federal government must come to the negotiation table and negotiate in good faith.
Whatever that means.
With the province, whatever it means. But I looked a little bit further, and I'm glad we're talking about it again, because last week I made it seem like it was they have to negotiate. Well, yes, but the Supreme Court clearly said, again, being the Supreme Court of Canada never wanted to really take a position, they said there's no expectation of a positive outcome from those negotiations. So they have to come, they have to negotiate, so they have to meet, but they could just disagree, and then nothing happens.
What do you mean nothing happens? So they would block the separation?
Yeah, because for separation to happen, you need to make a constitutional amendment, because as it stands, the Constitution does not allow it.
Got it. So the federal government would need to agree to this separation.
And all provinces, because provinces are all signatories of the Constitution.
All provinces, not the majority, all?
That's where I'm not too sure. I don't know. So the mechanism to amend, sad to say, I know the mechanism to amend the U.S. Constitution, like the back of my hand. You need a supermajority of Congress, so 2/3, or you need 3/4 of the states. But in Canada, I don't fucking know. I don't know. But I know provinces need to agree. I don't know if it's an absolute majority, a super majority, or unanimous majority. I don't know.
And then so we got into this last week too, on the episode that we didn't release because the audio was all fucked up. The other provinces and the federal government are obviously not going to agree to this.
Obviously not.
So what next for Alberta, assuming that the people of Alberta do choose to separate? They vote on separating. What happens next?
And that's what's hard. I don't want to start saying the word civil war, because that would be fucking ludicrous. Canadians are not like that. But I mean, imagine how disenfranchised you would feel if your province, which has a national identity, which has a different culture, which has an economy that's very distinct than the rest of the country, and who feels
slighted
for good reason, slighted by the...
Well, just look at the cabinet they just picked.
Oh, there you go, right? So
like they keep saying that, like, oh yeah, the emissions cap, they won't answer the question. Bill C-69, the no new pipelines bill, they won't answer the question.
Yeah.
They keep saying, well, we just got started. We're going to get to that. They haven't shown anything that they are actually going to cooperate with Alberta and try to unite the country. They haven't shown anything. It just looks like more of the same.
More of the same.
Why would the policies? No, but logically speaking, we're businessmen, right? So at the end of the day, you know, like people talk, they say a lot of stuff. It's like a sales guy talks, he talks.
Yeah.
Show me the data. Show me the actual money. Show me the sales.
Exactly.
And like you can kind of like I can see right through this. It's the same team. Why would they be operating any differently?
Yeah, they're just paying lip service once again. That's all it is. Absolutely. It was just to buy votes.
And you were bang on. I was actually fooled for a little bit. I wouldn't say fooled. I was hopeful. I gave the benefit of the doubt.
Yes, and that's the thing. You know, I think it's fair that you took that position, and I respect it because you try to be level-headed and you do try to give the benefit of the doubt. Even after the election, I saw the video you posted on TikTok saying, hey, we have a new prime minister. Let's rally behind him and everything. I think that's the proper reaction to have. I'm maybe a little bit more cynical, or maybe I've just been fucking betrayed more times in the past and I'm shorter on my trust. But yeah, I mean, this is going exactly like I thought. And just to put things in perspective, right? Alberta's net contribution to Ottawa has been more than $244 billion from 2007 to 2022. This dwarfs contributions by other provinces.
Which, by the way, which we pointed out a little bit earlier, since 2007, our CO2 emissions in Canada have not moved.
They have not moved. And
so everyone's going, oh, well, Alberta, they're polluting all this. They're polluting more. They're, they're sending us money, but they're polluting more of our environment. Our kids aren't going to be able to live here. The CO2 emissions since 2007, it's actually gone down since 2007. So everyone that's saying Alberta is causing Canada to fall off and sink into the ocean, it's not correct. And again, if we pull up the same graph from earlier, I'll pull it up again just for argument's sake. It doesn't even matter what we do because of China. Because of China. Oh my God. They emit 10.6
that is such a good graph.
Billion CO2. Oh, man. Like
it's unreal. And
they're 21x Canada. and increasing in terms of CO2 emissions into the atmosphere. India is even on this list. India would be up there as well.
Well, India would be the Asia Pacific excluding
China. You're right.
You know? So Asia Pacific excluding China, that's pretty much all of India anyways.
So guys, just look at this graph. I mean, honestly, Canada could disappear off the face of the earth. It wouldn't make one iota of a difference. And this is the part that I get so frustrated when we're talking to Canadians. And by the way, if we build a pipeline to get the natural gas, the cleanest and cheapest natural gas in the entire world, if we could build a pipeline from Alberta and get it to market over to British Columbia and sell it to China, instead of building the 311 coal factories that they're building right now to burn more energy, we could be selling them natural gas, which burns twice as clean. And guys, like we Canadians need to understand this, and they are not dealt correct facts from CBC. It doesn't fit the narrative that we're all going to die. And this is what we talked about last week, and I just want to touch on this before we finish up. They don't tell us about the real facts because they would lose control over the populace. And a scared populace will listen to whatever their politicians tell them what to do. We have a climate crisis. Everybody's going to die. You better listen to us. You have to pay that tax. If you don't, your children are going to die. Listen to me. Pay the fucking tax. That's honestly what they're saying. Guys, look at the graph. Like, look at the actual numbers.
And just to put real numbers in perspective, right? Canada, we spent 5 whole years, right, paying a carbon tax. And crippling our national economy, by the way, in the process.
Inflationary.
And this was, we saved the planet 37 hours of China emission. It takes China 37 hours to emit 11.9 gigatons of CO2, all right, which is the amount that we've saved with the 5 years of the carbon tax. We are.
Can you make sure you clip that, please? That fact right there. Okay.
He knows this shit. I'll just end on this because just with Alberta, these last two numbers, just so people really drive the factor here, okay? The difference between Alberta and the rest of the country. Alberta's 2023 per capita GDP was $70,800, which is 30% above the national average of $55,100. And this is the one. Alberta, please separate. I'm with you, and I'm moving there, if anything. If independent, Alberta's GDP per capita at the amount I just listed, so Alberta's GDP per capita would make it rank as the 7th richest country in the world, joining the ranks of Norway, Luxembourg, and all those beautiful places. That's the power of Alberta. And right now they're shackled, they're chained, and all that money is going to the Laurentian elites and all the, well, shitty fucking underperforming provinces. Guys, stand up for yourself.
It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. I'm very, very, very curious to see what's going to happen if they have a referendum and the people elect to separate from Canada, and how the other provinces are going to react. They're obviously going to say no. Well, what happens after then?
Because they can't not say no, because Canada goes bankrupt.
Of course.
Bankrupt.
But this is we don't have the answer to this question. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens after that.
No idea.
Because that's what's going to happen.
And you're correct. I don't know what happens.
And maybe this is why, just like I was thinking about it a little bit this morning while I was gathering my notes. Maybe, I don't want to say maybe, Mark Carney has to know this. Maybe that's why he doesn't give a shit. And he elected the same cabinet anyways. And he's probably going to continue the same policies. Again, I'm having a really tough time giving them the benefit of the doubt at this point in time. I gave you guys the benefit of the doubt based off this cabinet. I got duped. All the Liberal voters definitely got duped. You guys are going to get your there's going to be a home equity tax soon. That would actually be hilarious.
Oh,
that would be hilarious.
All the boomers, all the fucking
yeah. That would be hilarious.
Oh man,
that'd be hilarious.
I hope. And this would obviously.
Or they'll probably this is what they'll do. They'll implement the home equity tax, and then right just in time for the next election, they'll repeal it, and they'll say, "Look, guys, we took away the home equity tax from you. Elect us." And they're gonna go, "Yeah, Carney."
That's what I love, right? And they did this with the tax, with the carbon tax.
Yeah.
It's how easily manipulated people are.
Yeah.
These people will create a problem, let you suffer a bit, then remove the problem and take credit.
Yeah.
All this time, that gas was at 150, 160, 170, 180 a liter, right? And overnight, it went down to 119. Not in Quebec, of course. All right. And you thought all along they were nice. Guys, they had the power for the last 5 years to put gas at 119, 115. They just took you as a fucking cow, as a cash cow. Wake up. Curtis, that was a spicy one.
Yeah, that was a good one. If you guys liked the episode, please subscribe. Please like. I forgot to say this at the beginning of the podcast, but we put a lot of time and effort into this. So if you guys liked it, please like, please share. And yeah, man, we'll see you next week.
Patreon.
Oh, Patreon, yeah.
We have a link now. We do, right?
Yes, we'll put it in the YouTube.
Beautiful. Yeah, guys. It costs a lot of money to make these videos, believe it or not, like a lot of money.
Yep.
And the more we get donations from Patreon, the more you guys help us, the more we'll be able to dive deeper into the content.
Yeah.
And most importantly, make it a little spicier. Perhaps. I don't know.
We'll have more spicy episodes like this.
You go.
Yeah, I think it's because it's sunny out.
It changes your mood.
Yeah, it does.
I came in like fucking, remember the Viagra commercial back in the day, like, good morning.
Yeah,
good
morning.
That's how I walked in.
That was good. All right, thanks, Elliot. Right Call Podcast.